Well, hello there, trolls and loyal subscribers. I am the Raging Reject. This is Raging Reject TV. Okay, that made me gag a little bit, almost gag. So this is a video response to Fast and Furious 450's mainstream rant. Now this is a rant on anything mainstream. People have bad taste. Do I agree? To an extent. I'm not closed-minded. I'm not, stupid to where I know everybody. But here's one thing I don't get is the whole dubstep, hatred bullshit. There's not many people who actually love dubstep. Seriously. I know people who listen to it. I don't know anyone who loves it. I only know about two people who actually like it, and they only listen to it as just something they listen to. They don't make a big thing out of it. So the whole dubstep hatred, I don't understand. But anyways, yeah, stuff like Call of Duty. Now Call of Duty, yeah, that is overrated. They all feel exactly the same. Black Ops may feel a little different. Who gives a shit? It's still a first-person shooter. First-person shooters alone are overrated, let alone Call of Duty, which is not that creative. But hey, if people love Call of Duty, let them buy it. Who cares, right? I mean, yeah, sure, we don't have to pay for it. There's other games out there. We don't have to focus on the shitty stuff. But why is it rated so highly? Why is everybody talking about how Call of Duty is so great? First person shooters this, first person shooters that. I am really sick of hearing about it. But whatever. They make other games. Now the thing about the gaming industry today that I hate so much is the fact that they do focus mainly on Call of Duty and first-person shooter type games. They don't focus on JRPGs or RPGs that much. You got Skyrim and a few others, but really it's all about the first-person shooters and the action games. And action games are the most bland type of games there are because action is the simplest form of entertainment in a video game. Almost all games have a form of action, just some of them have more to it. Like Resident Evil, it had action in it in the beginning, but that's not what it was about. It was about survival. It was about story. It was about being claustrophobic, being isolated on your own, being scared, the horror aspect of it, just figuring out different things. Resident Evil was about that, and then the action. Now it is taking a back seat. Taking all the good things and they're on the back seat, if they're even there at all. Puzzles are gone. A lot of things are gone. All you have is action now, But there is some strategy to the shooting. Resident Evil is still one of the best shooters out there. It's just not a good Resident Evil game. So Resident Evil 5 belongs in the mainstream shit list. Gears of War. I only played the first one. I heard the second one's better. I heard the third one's the best. I'm just going by the first Gears of War. That was a overrated game. I played it on co-op, which is the funnest way to play any game, and it wasn't fun. It was one of the most bland games I've ever played. The story completely sucked. It was short. The fights weren't epic in any way. I liked the way it felt. I mean, that was the first next-gen game I've ever seen. That was the whole reason I wanted to get an Xbox 360, was because of that game originally. When I first saw it, I was like, this is the next gen. So it was a highly disappointing title. I mean, yeah, I paid $10 for it, and actually returned it and got my full refund, oddly enough. But, meh. Gears of War, overrated. All these shooters, all of them. Like, almost all of them. Crysis ain't. It's a good game. Bioshock's good. Metal Gear Solid's good. But people don't talk about it to the level. There is mainstream, and then there's casual mainstream, which casual mainstream is Wii, Call of Duty, Um, what other else is there? I think Resident Evil 4 is even casually mainstream. It is that famous. Skyrim is officially now casual mainstream, but you know that is an actual good game. Oddly enough, it's dumbed down in a way compared to Morrowind, but it's still a great game. You can't go wrong with Skyrim. Even if you like Morrowind better, I hope to God you don't like Oblivion better. Please tell me you don't like Oblivion better. That game sucked compared to the other two. I'm sorry. Even Daggerfall I liked better. Anyways, Oblivion was just disappointing. It just felt bland. I mean, they all feel kind of bland when it comes to the story and the non-playable characters, but one thing I highly disagree with on his shit list of mainstream. You know, he has a picture of a bunch of mainstream stuff, and one of them is Naruto, and that, you know, I'm a big fan of Naruto. You know, it's a good show. You know, if you aren't willing to get past the fact that you don't like certain characters or whatever, it's not about the character. It's about being a good show. If you can't accept that, then you're just kind of closed-minded, you know? Because I accept anything. I don't hate on people who is emo. I don't hate people who is metalheads, who is nerds. I don't hate on anyone, really. The only people I hate on is assholes who bash everything. So if you're a basher, I probably hate you. Now, most of you anyway. If you have a good reason to bash something, that's a, you know, that'll leave you out. But see, what else is mainstream that people always seem to talk about? You know, Nintendo is pretty mainstream. You know, Mario. Now, Mario is a good game. It's lost its touch totally. I mean, seriously, it should be as famous as Sonic, and Sonic should be as famous as... They shouldn't be making Sonic games anymore, you know? I mean, Sonic hasn't been relevant since the Genesis. You know, some people say the Dreamcast, but... that's only if you like those type of games. I'm not into all speed and, ooh, flashy. You know, I like actual in-depth games where it's fun, and you can get hooked on it instead of just being flashy, like Devil May Cry 3, that's almost all about being, you know, flashy and combo-y and stylish, which is cool and all, but they dumb down every other aspect of Devil May Cry in that game. The story, the atmosphere, everything. But by the way, I'm going to remake my Devil May Cry videos. I want to make it more towards the good and the bad of the game instead of the haters. I want to mention some things the haters say, just as an example to benefit defending the game or being critical of the game. You know, I'm gonna try to be critical of the game, but it's hard to when there's barely anything bad about it. But there are some things bad about Devil May Cry, the new one. But anyways, so yeah, mainstream isn't always bad. It just isn't, you know. Dark Knight, mainstream. That movie, I don't know if it's mainstream to everyone, but to the internet community, all nerds love serious shit. They love serious shit. Like I said, they don't like cheesy stuff. They don't like funny stuff. They like serious shit. And if they do like funny stuff, it has to be a certain way. I don't really understand what comedy nerds like usually, because they're kind of unpredictable when it comes to comedy. But, you know, most nerds can agree that they like stuff like Dark Knight because it's so realistic. They like GTA 4, which is so realistic even though it lacks fun. They just like the way it feels, so it's fun to them. That's another thing I don't like is GTA 4, you know, just get it out there, you know. Saints Row is way better, you know. I mean, it may be opinion, but I mean, I just don't really understand why people like GTA 4 more. I don't at all. I mean, the story isn't that good. The gameplay is bland. Nico's boring. The characters are boring. Like, seriously, I don't get it, you know. Unless they like it better just because they don't like the feel of Saints Row. Maybe that's it. Maybe they just don't like it. I mean, I can't see somebody liking both games and liking GTA 4 more. I can't see that. Just like TNA, I can't see anybody who's willing to like both companies like WWE more. I mean, WWE has its own feel, has its own casual feel, and that's another mainstream thing that sucks is WWE. But WWE is casual. It's something casual fans can enjoy. Um, Not really anymore. I mean, even now, it's not really that. It's not like Attitude Era casual where there was characters and wrestling and everything. Now they don't have anything. They have bad wrestling, bad characters, bad storylines, bad on top of bad. Yet people tell me that is better than TNA. Now I can understand if you just don't like mostly wrestling, or you are an entertainment guy. That's fine. Okay. I mean, to me you're stupid. I'm sorry. But, if you're going to have an honest, nerdy debate with me, you cannot tell me WWE is better unless you have a good reason. Actually, you just can't. I mean, there's obviously no reason. But, anyways, that's what I'm saying is some people can like something better just because they don't like the other thing, or they can't understand the other thing. But when they like both things and they still like WWE more, or they still like Saints Row more, that's where it gets kind of ridiculous. Like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. But maybe they just barely like the over-the-top playability. Maybe they like it, but they don't like it that much. So yeah, I'm going to cut it short. That's mainstream stuff for you. Music-wise, oh my god, seriously, Lady Gaga, Rebecca Black, Kesha, oh my god, no, do not even get into Kesha. Oh my god, like if I thought I would never find anybody worse than Lady Gaga 2 years ago. Kesha came out, and Rebecca Black and all those horrible, horrible people. Music industry, mainstream-wise, full-blown mainstream, is dead. I do kind of like that song, even though it got stuck in my head, that was played in WrestleMania, the We Are Young. I don't know. I really hate mainstream radio because they play the same shit over and over again, at least here in Alabama. In the Birmingham area, it is nothing but Southern rock. They play classic fucking rock on the one rock station there is, and there's 2 classic stations already, and they barely play new age rock, except for Avenged Sevenfold, which I love, but they play the bad songs. And I mean, I don't know, mainstream. Another thing that pisses me off is when a band goes mainstream. You know how they say a band goes mainstream, like Avenged Sevenfold. They used to be metal, and then they went to metalcore. And then, they always been metalcore. Okay, they went from metalcore to metal rock to more of a alternative metal to a more southern rock type of feel to them. But they still have the metal aspects of them. It was generally a southern rock feeling band. I do not like that. I hate it when a band does that, but at the same time, I like it when they kind of go mainstream at first. When they, just metal, it just kind of gets old after a while. So that's why I like progressive bands, but they find a place in time where they get too mainstream. Okay? Sometimes they go too mainstream, and then they try to go too much like the original, and it's like they're trying to be like the old... like Mudvayne, okay? Mudvayne went from pure new metal to, more of aggressive metal to mainstream metal, but it was, in the middle. That was my favorite time, was Lost and Found album Mudvayne, because they was completely metal, but they was also beautiful, and they put out all aspects good. They had the good melody songs, they had the good metal songs. Everything about that album was perfect. That was my favorite album. Now, the follow-up album was pretty good, but it was a little too mainstream. But it wasn't that bad, And then the next album, they wanted to forget everything they learned, and they wanted to dumb down their style because they wanted to appeal to the more old-school fans. And that album did not feel like the old albums. It felt just like it was more of a metal album. It felt like it was mainstream. It still sounded like it was professional. It just didn't sound right. But the album tried too hard. It tried to be something it's not. Mudvayne really did bad in that album. I even like the older albums better than that last album, which is self-titled, by the way, in case you watch this years from now. So yeah, this is 15 minutes. I'm going to cut it off. I'm going to leave it at that. Mainstream radio, mainstream bands, or progressive bands that go mainstream. So far, Bullet for My Valentine, they're just right. Avenged Sevenfold's too mainstream. I hope in the next album the Rev died, which is their drummer. So I don't know if they'll ever have that magic again. So you can't really blame them because the Rev was a big part of the band. So yeah, that's my rant on mainstream. You know, I love Naruto. I love Dragon Ball Z. That's mainstream. You know, everybody. If you're gonna bitch about Naruto, I seriously believe Dragon Ball Z is truly more popular than Naruto. So Fast and Furious, if you're gonna bitch about mainstream, you like Dragon Ball Z. You liked WWE when they was doing the most mainstream stuff. The Attitude Era was completely mainstream. So you don't bitch about people with shitty taste just because they like mainstream stuff, because if that's it, you have shitty taste. Of course, you do like Sonic the Hedgehog better than Crash and Spyro, but I'm not going to get into that. And you also say the PS1 is shit, and just because it has games you don't like for some reason. As many games as they have on the system, you don't like any of them. Anyways, alright, I'm gonna cut it off, guys. Dragon Ball Z. What else do you like mainstream? I'm pretty sure you can list a shitload of things, and you'll like mainstream. Hell, even metal. Your version of metal, Chimera and Slipknot, those are all mainstream compared to the bands I like. The bands I like are underground. Your bands are mainstream when it comes to metal. Because metal is not that unpopular. It's not a casual fan type thing. But there's a lot of genres out there that you don't know about, and metal is above the top 5 or top 6 genres of music. People love hardcore music. So that's me. I'm the Raging Reject. Please subscribe and all this good stuff. And I'm going to make more videos. And if you have any ideas for videos, let me know. I do not know why I'm doing this, but I'm out. Did I say rate, comment, and subscribe? I'm going to say it again. Rate, comment, subscribe. Rate, comment, subscribe.